Hello everyone. In this video, I just wanted to talk about two of the key functionalities of Pandas which people miss out. Pandas is a very good library which contains a lot of functionalities for reading, manipulating and processing data. But oftentimes what I find is people don't leverage all these inbuilt functions and they go to write their own functions or they write a lot of unnecessary loops and things like that. So two of the things that I wanted to emphasize in this particular video is pivot and melt. Now before I go into how pivot and melt works, I just wanted to talk about the functionality of these two particular operations. Now oftentimes you will find your data organized in this particular format. Suppose you are having some housing data with some attribute and the corresponding score, as you can see right now. Now before you go and investigate about the data, I just want to tell you that this data is completely made up by me. So oftentimes you will find the data structured in this particular format. Now although this has its own advantages, if you want to analyze it at a house level, the price or things like that, it can be quite difficult. Now that is where you want to do this particular operation, wherein when you have your attributes in a particular column listed as attribute and a score or the value corresponding to those attributes in two columns only, you just want to spread it out and have these particular values coming as columns and the score or the value corresponding to these values as the value in the particular corresponding rows, right? So pivot basically helps you do that without writing any additional code. Now let us jump into the code and look how it works. So as you can see here, I am reading the data. This is the same data frame that I showed you in the Excel. You just have to write one line of code specifying the index. So index would be the column which you want to retain it, just like that. It can be one column or it can be a group of columns, and then you specify in the column having the particular value which contains the attribute or the name of the attribute and things like that, and the values would correspond to the value of that particular attribute you want to change to the column. So if you do that, you will get the result according to here. Simple, just one line of code is only enough. And if you are coming to the melt property, sometimes you will have to do the opposite. For example, if you are looking into this particular data frame, you will often find your primary key in one column and then the main parameter, for example the date or things like that, arranged in columns, and the corresponding quantity or things like that in rows corresponding to that. Now although in the earlier case we were trying to achieve this particular format, if you want to do time series analysis or things like that, it would be more convenient to transpose these columns as a single column and the values corresponding to that as a separate column, just opposite of what we did in pivot. Now I hope you all understand what we are trying to do here, as you can see from this example itself. Now let us look into the code. Now if you're coming to the code side, you can see I'm just reading the data and I'm just calling it in one line of code. As you can see, I will specify in the data frame, I will specify in the columns which I want to retain as it is in the original data frame, and Pandas basically converts all the rest of the columns and then it formats as a single column, and corresponding values it will be formatted as another column. Now you can also specify in the name of the new columns that Pandas will create. So that is what I am doing over here. So basically the values would be coming under the value name, and the variable, basically what you transposed back, would come under the var name. Now the reason why I wanted to emphasize in this particular video, again I am repeating the thing, that is most of the time people don't leverage these things and they write a lot of loops. Now Pandas has excellent documentation and it has excellent functionalities for doing any of the manipulation that you want. 95% of the code of the operations that you want to do in Pandas would be already defined as inbuilt functions, so you don't have to write any extra code. So this will save a lot of time in debugging, coding and understanding others code as well. Now that is what I wanted to emphasize in this particular video. I will leave a link to the official documentation of Pandas wherein you can explore a lot of additional functionalities. Thanks for watching this video. If you like the content, give me a like, And if you have any suggestions for me, leave comments down below. Thank you.